first of all, why do you eat your vegetables? Well, one, it's hard to overconsume them. It's very easy to overconsume a processed food, but eating vegetables, that's hard work. And as a consequence, you're not putting as much inflammation in the body, as the body has to basically cause inflammation, oxidative stress, to try to process excess calories coming in. How do you know you're eating too many calories? You're fat.
Right. And we eat a lot of starchy foods, Doc, in Nigeria and West Africa. A lot of really starchy food. So that's a big problem because that converts.
It's a problem, but nonetheless, the problem is, again, the convenience. What has happened in the Western world and now going worldwide, the convenience. Convenience foods, because they are convenient. And so we have seen changes in the food chain dramatically. Greater use of sugars. That's the cheapest ingredient known to man. Greater use of vegetable oils. That's second cheapest ingredient known to mankind. Now, the food industry can make those two into virtually anything. But those two are a deadly combination to increase inflammation. And now, why the vegetables? Said, first of all, it's hard to overeat them. Second, they contain chemicals called polyphenols. These are the chemicals that give the fruit and color, or the fruits and vegetables, their color. That's all we thought they did for thousands of years. Now they do far more. They're powerful tools to change gene expression, but you have to eat enough. So if you're not eating a lot of colorful fruits and vegetables, you're not getting enough polyphenols. So you're already deficient in one of the keys of that combination lock I've talked about.
And those fruits and vegetables especially, have to be uncooked for the most part, right?
Well, they have to be cooked, because basically the cooking actually unleashes and releases the polyphenols. It's very hard to eat.
Don't they destroy them too?
It depends on how high you cook. So again, they're temperature sensitive, but not that temperature sensitive. Okay. So again, it's simple, basically making almost a soup-like basis, not putting on a supercharge at 500 degrees, maybe at 100 degrees centigrade. That's how you make soup, the old-fashioned way.
We don't have those thermometers, Doc. We just put them on a fire out in the open and put it there.
And so, but again, that's fire. Basically, again, it breaks down the structure to allow us to absorb them more effectively.
Okay.
So that's one part of our combination lock, getting a lot more vegetables. And in Africa, that's not hard. It's just basically people don't eat as much because it's more convenient to basically eat processed foods. Second of all, we talked about the cod liver oil, the world's most disgusting food known to man, but it's rich in the omega-3 fatty acids. The fatty acids that we supply you for the brain patients are just much more highly purified and much more concentrated.
Right.
But cod liver oil is a good source of these omega-3 fatty acids. So having a tablespoon a day of cod liver oil, disgusting as it is one way of getting adequate levels. Another way is eating fatty fish. Now, again, and the last aspect is controlling your diet. It's not saying, oh, I can't stop eating, I'm addicted to food. There's two parts to basically appetite. There's the hormones that turn it on and the hormones that turn it off. So we want to get more of the hormones being made that turn off appetite so you don't overconsume food. For that, you need a balance of protein and carbohydrate. Where do you get your carbohydrates from? Fruits and vegetables. You have to balance it off with protein at every meal. And how do you know it's working? Your watch will tell you. You won't be hungry for the next 5 hours. I say, well, that doesn't sound very high tech. It isn't until you understand the molecular biology of each of those components of that combination lock I just explained. Do it on a routine basis. That lock opens at every meal. And with that lock opening, you're now in a position to optimize that resolution response and optimize the body's ability to turn off inflammation and repair and regenerate the damage caused by it. No high-tech medicine required, but it is basically a commitment to basically be aware of the food you're eating every time you put it into your mouth. People say, "Oh, I don't have time. I've got my friends to call on the internet, and I've got some video games to play." Saying, you're
Right.
missing the point. That the fact is, just plan your day out around the foods you like to eat, adjust them, and how do you know they're adjusting right? You're never hungry. If you're never hungry, say, you've got the keys of the kingdom.
Hmm. Hmm. That is interesting, and it seems simple enough, but it takes some discipline. Things in equilibrium. What if things become overwhelming? For instance, you're diabetic, you're hypertensive. I would think that you would require more firepower than that.
Actually, that's all the firepower you need. Now
Really?
you can concentrate up those key ingredients. The key ingredients are the polyphenols,
Mhm.
the omega-3 fatty acids, and the balance of protein to carbohydrate. You can basically get them a little more high tech. But again, if you have a chronic disease such as diabetes,
Mhm.
type 2 diabetes in particular, is reversible. Yes, it is.
Really?
Uh, is a hypertension reversible? Yes, it is.
Yes.
But again, it's not by reversible by taking drugs. That's basically like putting a Band-Aid over a wound. You want to
Mhm.
heal the wound. The wound is the body's resolution response is being blocked. And so there's where I want to put my attention in medicine, how to get the patient with the least effort on their part to unblock that natural healing response. And the science behind it is incredibly complex. There's just really a few people at Harvard Medical School even begin to understand all the nuances, because
Mhm.
we tend in medicine to focus on the minutia. We very rarely stand back and not only we look at the leaf, not only the tree, but we really want to look at the forest. And
Right.
then all of a sudden you see things emerging out of this. This makes common sense. This basically changes how we practice medicine, not to basically treat the symptoms of disease, but to cure the disease and basically prevent the disease. Disease is simply the body's inability to repair the damage caused by an injury.
Mhm.
COVID-19 is an injury. It's a viral infection. Breaking your arm is an injury. Getting a heart disease is basically an internal injury.
Mhm.
So these are all injuries, and the first thing they do, they cause inflammation.
Mhm.
And once you learn the rules of the road of how to turn off the inflammation, you need some, but if you don't turn it off, it basically keeps attacking the body and eventually causes the chronic disease. Then say, now I'll go to the pharmacy and they'll say, give me a drug to take the rest of my life to try to treat the symptoms. No drug cures disease. They treat the symptoms. And they don't treat them very well, because what happens after a couple of years? It starts not to work very well. So they give you a second drug and a third and a fourth. And pretty soon you're making the American drug companies filthy rich.
Too bad we don't have much shares in them.
But this why it's basically it's a technology that's applicable on a worldwide basis and inexpensive. Now you're right. Say in the brain patients you deal with, they need very high levels. So they might have to take, oh, not a tablespoon of cod liver oil, but maybe a gallon. Say that's not going to happen. So
Right.
that's why we send you the highly concentrated materials that they can get the high levels to get really a rescue action, to basically stop the inflammation and start the healing process.
Mhm. Mhm. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for this information.